Good morning, students, and I welcome all of you again to the English class for class 10th. And today we are going to take up the fourth chapter from the book First Flight from the diary of Anne Frank. But before we begin with the chapter, we are going to just go into the early life of Anne Frank, who is our author, who is the lead character of our particular chapter. Now, this chapter is an extract from the book written by Anne Frank, The Diary of a Young Girl. Right? So, we begin with our early life of Anne Frank. Now, she has a very, very different story, unlike our teenage children, unlike the children who have enjoyed their childhood to the core. When she entered into her teenage, she was restricted to a place that was referred to as the secret annex or the hiding place because of the Germans, because of Hitler. The moment Hitler came into the ruling in Germany, what happened was that he had developed certain hatred towards the Jews, and unfortunately, Anne's family was a Jew. He had his plans, or his aim was to eradicate or remove the Jewish population from the entire globe. Now, this was his aim. What is the reason is specifically not known even by the historians till date. There are many speculations of his hatred, but what is actually the real one is still to be disclosed. Now, Hitler hated the Jews so much that he uh, took the best or the healthy Jews to become his laborers. They were experimented on by the German doctors. A lot of tests were conducted for helping out the doctors to find out new medicines and new vaccines. They were tormented, tortured, and this particular place where the Jews were kept away from their families, their own hometowns, was referred to as the concentration camps. Now, Anne Frank and her family became the victims of the concentration camp in Bergen-Belsen, in Germany itself. Right now, what happened was that approximately 6 million Jews were killed by Hitler before Hitler died. This particular book of Anne Frank was published by her father, the very first copy. It was actually a diary that Anne used to write every day because she thought that paper is more patient than people. People can react, but diary can just absorb all your feelings. It can just help you in your pent up emotions to be put in pen, and it can actually understand you more than inquiring about the stuff that you were putting in the diary. Now, what happened was that Anne loved her father very much. She did love her elder sister Margaret and her mother, but she thought somewhere that the mother was pretty partial with Margaret, her elder sister, and the father was very much partial towards Anne. He loved Anne very much. Now, when he understood that Anne was feeling very low, she was entering into her adolescence, she was becoming a teenager, he gifted her a diary, checked cover diary uh, that was named Kitty by Anne Frank. Now, in that particular diary, Anne wrote every bit of her experience that she had faced in the annex, where she could actually be so fearful and afraid of the German troops marching on the roads, because there was this kind of a notion in her mind every second that what if they identify them hiding in this particular annex in Amsterdam, and they arrest them and they take them to the concentration camps where there'll be no life left for them, and they'll be only returning as dead bodies or corpses. Now, what happened was that Anne had a lovely family. She loved them very much. She respected them very much. But because of the German concentration camps, Anne, her elder sister, and her mother, they were taken to Bergen-Belsen, and the father was kept in a different concentration camp. So this was the complete summary of Anne. Now let's begin with the detailed summary of what Anne's early life was. Her story is among the most well known of the 6 million Jews who died in the Holocaust. Her diary is a revelation of how Hitler had planned to eradicate the entire Jewish population during the Second World War. Anne was born on 12th June 1929 in Germany, and she lived on the outskirts of Frankfurt. The family shifted to Amsterdam after Nazis seized power in 1933. Hitler came to power. In July 1942, her family hid in an apartment. Now, this was the apartment, the first floor where they were hiding. This was a bookshelf that could be shifted, and there was this staircase, a narrow one that led to this particular room. Now, it was just one bit of the room. It was a pretty large room where not only Anne's family but four more Jews were living with them. For 2 years, from 1942 to 1944, they lived in the secret attic apartment. Anne's father's friends helped them with all the necessities of life, medicines and food and clothing and whatever they required, they were of great help. On 4th August in 1944, the Gestapo was the German police, they discovered the hiding place. Now somebody ditched or cheated the Frank family, or they must have just come into this building to find out the very trace of Jews or something, and they investigated and they simply shifted this particular bookshelf and found the staircase. And the moment they climbed the stairs, they were shocked to see Jews hiding, and so they arrested them. The reasons are still very much not clear. They were sent to concentration camps in Bergen-Belsen in Germany. Anne and her sister died of typhus. Typhus was like typhoid, I would say. It has this infection caused by bacteria, right? Where the person starts losing weight and there is fever and there is infection in the lungs. In March 1945, a few weeks before the British troops liberated Bergen-Belsen on 15th April 1945, their mother died in January 1945. Otto Frank, Anne's father, was the only survivor of the entire family. He made it a point to publish Anne's diary. This is the actual writing of Anne. It is the diary that is still kept in the museum, right? And the hiding place has now been turned into a kind of a place where the tourists come and visit, almost like a museum, right? It has not been touched. It is as it is till date, and the pictures are not pretty clear because it simply goes back to that particular time period when Anne was there. It is in 1950s or 40s when these pictures must have been taken. So they are pretty not clear, but at least they are visible, right? So this particular place has now become a visiting place or a tourist attraction for people all across the world. Now, Otto Frank made it a point that when he returned from the concentration camp, he met his friends who helped them during that time, who had kept Anne's diary very, very safely with them, right? Margaret also wrote diaries, but unfortunately her diary was not found. And Otto Frank, the father of Anne Frank, made it a point that the diary of Anne Frank should be published as a book because it, according to him, was a masterpiece of information regarding the Holocaust, regarding the experiences this particular girl wrote in her diary when she knew that death was nearing them with every step sooner or later. Now, here, this particular picture was pasted by Anne, and she writes in her own language, in German itself, that I wish I remain like this forever so that I can get an entry into Hollywood, right? Now, this girl, a teenager, has her own desires, her own aspirations, but look what she came to. And finally, she died at a very young age in 1945. And this is where Anne and Margaret were buried. And this is their tombstone or their grave. So this happens to be your complete summary of Anne Frank's early life. If you wish to know the things in detail, I would request you to go on YouTube. You have a lot many pictures, movies, or documentaries by NGC and Discovery that will help you to know Anne Frank's life better. In the next class, when we come back, we'll be dealing with the chapter from the diary of Anne Frank, right, where she talks about her experience with her teacher, especially the maths teacher, Mr. Keesing. Thank you.